everyone, welcome to another action-packed ball and chain. In today's show, we're going to focus on playing catch-up with some of the games we've missed, but over the weekend, and then we'll do a bit of a deep dive onto the league tables and we get to the big international break. This one in November I see as a proper first real international break. It's a good opportunity for us to take stock of where the leagues are, how teams are performing, look at the current form, and do a bit of deep dive analysis for a bit of a change. Really focused on the Premier League, maybe a little bit in the Championship, and then I might save League 1 and 2 until next weekend because we've got the international break at the moment. Therefore, I think it makes sense for this video. Try and do one a week at least to try and talk about, especially with an international break. Let's deep dive on the Premier League and Championship, and then next Monday we'll probably have a look down to League 1 and 2 as we progress and review where they're at and where they're at the season. So today will be a deep dive on the Premier League and the Championship. We'll review League 1 and League 2 really quickly, but deep dive into that and the league placings into next week. Okay, let's get to it and start with the Premier League. What a weekend, as always, twists and turns at every corner, isn't there here? We've had a real interesting weekend of results, but let's, as we do, start with Saturday fixtures and start to summarise those. Might go back and just have a little teaser on what happened the week before to play catch up because I haven't done a video in a couple of weeks, so let's play catch up. I owe you that. Villa lost to Liverpool. This was, again, cast your mind back over a week, and Liverpool were on a bit of an up and down spiral, aren't they, at the moment? But they managed to they got a great result against Aston Villa, who are mixed at the moment. But as we'll see this week, a bit of a twist in that over this weekend. Tottenham lost to Chelsea at home, which, Tottenham at home, I didn't realise this, but when I look back at the stats, Tottenham's results have really come away from home and they've been very poor at home. Don't know whether that's something to do with the size of the stadium and that fans want to come there, and away fans are coming at the masses, and that's creating a bit of a an awkward atmosphere because it's more like being at Wembley, if that makes sense, with the shared allocation of seats. Someone did mention that hypothesis. I'm not sure whether I agree with that. But yes, Spurs do seem to struggle at home. Something to bear in mind there. Forest carved out a 2-2 draw with Man United. So Man United's resurgence continues. I think that's a good point away, you'd say, on form last season and this season. At the moment, I think that's a fair reflection of league status as well. Fulham beat Wolves 3-0, and that was, in fact, confounded Wolves manager. He was ultimately sacked after that game. Wolves are without a manager. However, it has been... There's talk of Rob Edwards leaving Middlesbrough to come to Wolves. And he only left Luton to go to Middlesbrough in the summer. So that's a very quick turnaround. As you can imagine, that's gone down really well with the Middlesbrough supporters. And they're ecstatic about Edwards, who carved them into second in the league or a very, very good league position. They were top for a point. Now up in sticks and going to Wolves and taking that move to a better job. Do you blame him though? It's an opportunity to manage in the Premier League with an established Premier League team. Well, might not be after this season, and take them on with the wealth of talent they've got, and they do have a decent squad. They've spent and invested quite well. So yeah, interesting one, that one, isn't it? What do you think? Crystal Palace continue their great form, and you'll see that Brentford are no mugs at all. So a very good result. Continues Crystal Palace's fantastic form. Arsenal played out a 2-0 win against Burnley. I think that was on everyone's bingo card, wasn't it, for Arsenal to beat and keep a clean sheet, which has been consistent with their form and quality of play. Brighton beat Leeds 3-0. Man City beat Bournemouth 3-1, and again, Bournemouth are very good usually for both teams to score, and did very well. Give Man City some competition, but Man City are the form team with Arsenal at the moment, I think, and as we'll see from the weekend's fixtures, that rung true as well. Newcastle's mixed start continues. They lost 3-1 to West Ham, who got a very good result. Now Nuno's manager, good result for them. Sunderland, who I'd hate to play Sunderland at home. They are on fire at the moment, aren't they? They are the surprise package up to now of the season. I know it's early days, so we've got to ground ourselves there, but very much a surprise package this season. And drew with Everton, and again, who are playing very well, and Dye's really lit them up, hasn't he? And playing very well. So that was summarised last week's fixtures. Let's get to this weekend then, the the business weekend. So in the early kickoff, Tottenham played Man United in what was a rollercoaster game. Again, Man U to another 2-2 draw. Is that a 2-2 draw away for Man U? Is that 2 in a row? Did they get 2-2 against Nottingham? Yeah. So interesting pattern emerging there, isn't there? Definitely both teams to score over 2.5 goals, and a 2-2 draw is an interesting one for them. But it was an end-to-end game. I don't think you could really say that either team actually deserved to win. So I think on the balance of play, a draw is a good result. And continues, Man U will see that as a good away point. Tottenham, I don't know, might be a mixed when you consider their league position, but I think both teams would have probably took a draw if you'd have offered it to him before, based on current form and performance. But again, Tottenham stuttering at home. Everton played out an excellent 2-0 win, continues their fantastic form really this season, and doing very well. But not to be surprised, Moyes came in towards the back end of last season and did a lot for Everton, and they seem to be reacting very well to his leadership and management. He got previous, didn't he, at the club? He used to manage Everton for a long period, had a lot of success there, and he just seems to have rolled that on and continued it with the latest squad and crop of players. Got to say, Ndiaye, I know him myself from playing for Sheffield United, an absolute quality, he's a superstar. And if Everton continues to go from strength to strength, I can see him staying there. But if not, I can see a team like Arsenal, Liverpool, or Man City taking Ndiaye. He is just that good. He really should be playing at the highest level in Europe as well, whether that's in England or abroad. But he's just a fantastic player. Didn't work out for him at Marseille, but Sarr moved from Marseille as well to Palace, and he's having an amazing season. I don't think that should be a reflection on Illy at all. I think that's more on the Marseille setup, because he's excelling at Everton at the moment, isn't he? West Ham beat Burnley 3-2, an end-to-end both teams to score game, which was a surprise, but AI did tell me they got previous and it was going to be both teams to score, which was interesting. Sunderland drew 2-2 with Arsenal. What a game that was. I don't know if anybody saw it, but wow. Everyone had Arsenal tipped to win it, but a last gasp goal from Sunderland equalised and got them the point. A great strike from Trossard, but then Sunderland came back from robbery, and it was robbery, wasn't it, for Arsenal? And they got a 2-2 draw there, and a fantastic result for Sunderland. And at home, you'd be a brave man to back against Sunderland at home. They are playing very well at the moment, and definitely a formidable team to play. Wolves continued to pile the misery on, as Chelsea beat them 3-0, and it looked pretty emphatic and an easy result for Chelsea there. João Pedro getting on the score sheet, got the second, Neto got the third for them. So that rounds up Saturday's games, and on Sunday we had the big game. Well, the 2 o'clock kickoffs were, again, a surprising result, really. Aston Villa beating Bournemouth 4-0. Semedo missing a penalty, which is really surprising. If you've got him in your dream team, he's a points monster and has been one of the top performers this season. But actually, didn't do great, missed a penalty, and I think that's a thrashing 4-0, isn't it? It's definitely emphatic. The mixed fortunes of Villa continues up and down, but that one would say that's a fantastic result for them. Just a goal difference, no end of good, and we'll shoot them up to table. We'll find out in a second where that exactly leaves them. Brentford beat Newcastle 3-1. Newcastle's form is mixed, to say the least, but Brentford are, Keith Andrews has done a fantastic job there. There's a lot of, I don't know, people put their nose up at Keith Andrews getting the job. He was actually on the coaching staff at Sheffield United, and he's always been tipped to go on to big things. And he's just seeing that and realising that now, isn't he, in his time at Brentford? So fantastic result for Brentford, and that will improve their position massively as a result of that. Palace played out a very tired 0-0 draw against Brighton. Really, really interesting game. I watched some of the Palace game, and they look tired. Glasner likes to keep a consistent team playing, and a lot of their players have just played 2 to 3 times a week, consistently the same team he tends to pick. And Mateta looked leggy. Sarr looked, I don't know, despite scoring 2 in midweek, he didn't look like a player who'd scored 2 with confidence. He looked questioning himself when he got in front of goal. And then Brighton came on very strong at the end and arguably should have and could have won it. So overall, I think a draw was definitely predicted, but I think it was a score draw was predicted from AI when I went through it. It's interesting because AI had given me, I asked AI I've been trying to use that to create some bets. And I suggested that it'd be over 2.5, but both teams would score in Bournemouth and Villa. Over 2.5 and both teams score in Brentford. Score draw for Crystal Palace and Brighton, or under 3.5 goals was another one that was given. Forest to win Leeds, and Man City to win and both teams to score was the bet. So very, very close from AI. It was quite kind of close. If you'd have just gone on the actual I guess wins, you might have done pretty well there. They actually said Villa and over 1.5 goals as well, which again I questioned and thought, no, I'm not doing that. But who am I to quiz the AI gods when it reviews the stats? So what I might do is post a little AI bet when we get back to the good stuff next week. But I might have a look at what we've got on Friday for League 1 and 2 and do a little short video on what AI is telling me for the routes. Let me know if you like that feature of this show. I mean, would you like me to use a bit more of my AI stats and looking at stuff and doing some predictions for the weekend? Would that be an interesting part of the show that you'd like to see? How AI and how I use prompts and how that gives me the suggested results and guides for the weekend. Happy to go through that and show you all how I craft that, and let's try and look at see if we can win some money through a little tipple, not crazy amounts, but just like a weekend £5 accumulator. Let's maybe have a go at that. So there you have it. Man City had an emphatic victory against Liverpool. But before we do that, Forest beat Leeds 3-1. Leeds did take the lead, but Forest came rampaging back and won 3-1, giving Sean Dyche, I think that's his first league home victory since taking charge of Nottingham Forest. Man City played out a 3-0 win over, I guess a tired. I think they pepped Slot, didn't they? I think Pep's masterminded the result there. Liverpool looked to offer nothing. I've got to say though, Liverpool did get a goal this time. So Haaland missed a penalty, which I think it definitely was a penalty. Keeper's leg. The contact was minimal, but it was enough to touch Doku. And obviously, you're in the box. The keeper comes out. If there's contact, the player's going to go down, and you are going to get a penalty. Whether you agree with it or not, that's the rules. That's how it plays out. Ref went to the screen, ordered a penalty. Haaland stepped up. Weak penalty. Good save from the keeper. There was a question mark as to whether the keeper moved before the ball was kicked, but irrespective, it was checked. Goal missed from Haaland, and you wouldn't have had that, would you? Especially if it's in your FPL and you captained him. You would find that happened. But Haaland did redeem himself. He came in and got his obligatory goal, a looping header into the net. That made that it was 1-0, obviously. And then Liverpool came back. Great corner. Superb header from Van Dijk. Robertson was just in front of the goal, ducked down, and ball went in net. The goal was disallowed because seemingly of an infringement from Robertson being in front of the keeper. I think this one's dodgy. I'm not just bitter salty because I lost my bet because of that, but I am also I did think it was a legit goal, and I thought Liverpool were extremely lucky for that not to be rewarded, and I think that set the context of the game. I think Liverpool's head dropped after that, and in the second half offered very little, and Manchester City largely dominated the game, winning, as you can see from the scoreline, 3-0. So a very good result for Man City there to wrap up the weekend's fixtures. So with that said, and 2 weeks of results bagged, where does that leave us in the Premier League? Well, it leaves Arsenal out there, clearly now opening a bit of a gap. I'll show you that gap. 4-point gap between City after their great win against Liverpool. That really has pushed Liverpool down now, and I'll show you this in a minute, but look at what that's done for Liverpool. Liverpool were right up there at the start of the season, weren't they? And that's why I always said you can't read anything into early form, because the Premier League is such a competitive league that it is crazy. So if I'd have said to you a few weeks ago, when we saw Man United right down near the bottom of the table and we saw Liverpool running away with it, if I'd have told you in another 3 weeks Man United would be above Liverpool, you'd have probably rolled around the floor laughing, wouldn't you? But look now, look at where we are. Manchester United, level on points with Liverpool, but above them on goal difference. Crazy. Liverpool actually it's on recent form because they've both got exactly the same goal difference. However, Man United have scored one more goal than Liverpool, and that's what's keeping them just above them on the 18-point mark. But if you see, we've got a barrage of team on 18 points, including, I'll just scroll down because we've even got Bournemouth on 18. Look at that, how that lines up. You've got everything from 5th down to 9th, all on the same points. Well, in fact, it's very tight up there, isn't it? Really. Up until 3rd, it's anything from 9th to 3rd. Well, even 10th, one would say, to 3rd, even though the goal difference is Chelsea have got a fabulous goal difference, haven't they, of 10 for this stage in the season, but still really, really interesting, that, isn't it? But look at Tottenham 5th. Even though their home form sucks, really, they are doing really well at 5th with 18 points. And right there in the mix, one would say. I think Arsenal and Man City, I think they're starting to pull away. And unless something crazy, the squads and players they've got, one would expect them to continue unless they get vast amounts of injuries. But Man City have improved a lot this spent. You would just say Man City, though, are very reliant on Haaland. If he was to get injured, that could have a real ramification on their title charge. But Arsenal seem to be doing it for a solid defence. Rather than as such goal machines, they've got a very mix of goal scorers in their team. Gyökeres has not set the world alight yet, and therefore they have got that goal threat coming from all over the pitch. And one could say, is that the mark of title contenders, especially with their form? They look unbeatable. Played 11, only lost once. That is a real championship form. But again, we're only 11 games in. I think we're not even a third of the way through the season. So there's still a long way to go. Let's see if we're having this conversation at Christmas. That is the time when the table starts to settle and you can start to see the patterns emerging. So we've got until Christmas, but Arsenal do look strong contenders. Could this year be their year? Arsenal fans, what do we think? Do we think it's Arsenal's year? Is this year your time to finally get that Premier League trophy and rekindle the Arsene Wenger years where Arsenal were so good with Man United and Ferguson? It really was the Man U and Arsenal fight, wasn't it, for titles? There was an odd year where Blackburn got in between, but it really was Man U and Arsenal. But this year, could it be Arsenal and Man City this year? It was really, I guess, was it Arsenal and Liverpool last year with a little bit of Man City, but they tailed off through a bad spell, didn't they, last season? So let's see. Chelsea are always up there. They're starting to pull a bit of form together. They've got that a couple of losses in between, but 4 wins out of 6 is definitely not bad going at all, and won the last 2, as have Manchester City. Sunderland have drawn the last 2, but have some very challenging fixtures, so therefore for them to still be up there and 4th probably would be unthinkable. If you'd have said to their fans 11 games in, you're 4th in the league, you'd have probably fainted, wouldn't you? And I certainly would if that had been my team. So fantastic from Sunderland. They are giving it a right good go, for lack of a better word. Look at Villa. It was some time where Villa were rooted to the bottom of the table. Look at how they've come up there. They really are showing some amazing form. And maybe that win against Bournemouth wasn't a surprise, when you look at the form and how they're putting together. They've only lost 1 in their last 6, so that's real good form. Man United, again, pulling some form together, aren't they? 3 wins and 2 draws in their last 5. That's good form. Liverpool, again, though, apart from that win last week, are on a real bad run of fixtures and results. And therefore, interesting, you look at Liverpool, though, they haven't drawn a game this season. They lost again this weekend. But yeah, 6 wins, 5 losses in their recent run. Bournemouth having a bit of a wobble. They've lost their last 2. Could this be them wobbling, or are they going to rekindle their form when we get back from the international break? It's come at a good time for them, though. They can reset now, realign, and hopefully get back to winning ways. Crystal Palace have dropped off as well, haven't they? They were right up there earlier this season. Seems to have dropped off quite a bit. I think they've been top 4 at one bit, but have dropped down now. Is Europe taking its charge? They're in the Europa Conference and clearly struggling at the moment due to fixture crisis and them not having the biggest squad and therefore having to play similar sort of players at every game. Fatigue seems to certainly be fitting in. Do you think in the winter transfer window they will recruit more players to try and bolster their ranks in order to cope with the demands of playing in Europe and also in the UK as well, in the Premier League? The demands of the Premier League are tough enough anyway without Europe, especially when you don't have 2 quality players for every position. It can become very difficult. I know when I play Football Manager or Champ Manager, my focus is on having 2 quality players for every position so you can rotate freely. If you get injuries, you've got that cover there. It's really important nowadays for the modern squad to have that rotation capability. Okay, Brighton, good draw. They've been mixed. I think 16th is probably 11th in the league. Probably a bit harsh on them. They've played pretty well this season. But 16, Herzl's doing a pretty good job there, considering the size and scale of their club. Brentford, again, surprisingly, shot right up the table, haven't they? They're 12th now and doing very well. Look, there were concerns after Thomas Frank left, but they're certainly allayed any worries there by getting those results recently. They've won 4 out of the last 6, so that's good form and definitely starts to improve their position in the league. And another win up there and getting up to 19 points would put them right, I'm sure, in the top 10, and therefore put them in quite a good position. So they are primed for movement if they continue their great form that they've shown. Everton, pretty mixed, but they've had some tough games. Again, I'm not worried about Everton. I think they'll be fine. They've got too much quality in that team. Getting Grealish on loan, Dewsbury Hall, and also getting Ndiaye. I do think they probably need a better front man. Beto's okay, and they signed a new kid, haven't they? Is it called Frank? But I do think they probably do need a goal-scoring striker to play off Ndiaye and Grealish. I think that they need that role, I think, to help them score a bit more. 12 is pretty low when you look at goals scored and 13 against. They've been pretty solid at the back, but I think they do need to bolster that with a good attacker. Newcastle's form has been mixed again. Is that Europe? Is that squad depth? What is it, Newcastle fans? What's holding you guys back? Is it how? But you definitely are struggling this season, aren't you? Definitely not the team that you were last season, and 14th is pretty disappointing, really. But again, you're doing pretty well in Europe, so what do you put value on? Is it Europe? Is it the Premier League? Got to be Premier League, hasn't it? Because your league placing obviously dictates that regurgitation of European football, which is super important. So priority's got to be the league, or at least getting top 5, top 4. And then pushing on for Europe. But again, will January yield some spending? Will they open the purse strings and allow Eddie Howe to spend to continue to strengthen the card? They did buy, obviously, Voltemade, who's playing very well. They did also buy Visser. He's not been seen this season because of injury, which looks like a real disappointment. I think if you got him as well, it would have given options. Erlanger's playing pretty well. Harvey Barnes is back fit. Gordon's there. And you've also got Murphy. So some really great attacking options. Dan Burn, I think, got sent off, didn't he, on Saturday? And that won't have helped against Brentford. Gave away a penalty as well. So, a catalogue of errors led to Newcastle's defeat and therefore their poor league position. Fulham, again, have been hit and miss. I think they've not spent much in the summer, and I think we knew it was going to be a difficult season for Fulham. Marco Silva's a good manager. I don't think Fulham are at danger at going down, if I'm being quite honest, but they do need to step up because they're getting dragged now into a relegation battle. I don't think Newcastle are relegation contenders. I do think Leeds and Burnley are. It's inevitable. Sunderland are the outliers and a real fringe case. But if Sunderland get some injuries, are they going to struggle, or will they continue to go from strength to strength? Again, January is going to be so important for these clubs, and a good recruitment strategy can make all the difference. But again, it's January. Our club's going to let players go, particularly depending on their position. So lots of ifs and buts and twists and turns over the next few weeks, isn't there? And as I say, as we get into Christmas, we'll get a clearer definition of who's where and where people are likely to end up, because the patterns will be a little bit clearer. But nearly a third of the way through the season, and we can start to put some form together. I'd say we're probably a quarter of the way there, aren't we? I think it's about 38 games a season, so we're just over a quarter of the way there. So we can start to get a measure of placement, and we're starting to see those patterns emerging now. You're starting to see Tottenham and Man U definitely dispelling the demons of last year and improving their league placings now. I think they will be out of sight and be fine now. I think Almiron's got them up and running and playing well. I can't see Man U struggling again, unless something major goes wrong. He seems to have got them pairing pretty well. I'm not saying they will get in top 5, but they'll definitely be in the top 10 and top half of the table, which is contrasting to last season. Leeds United struggling again. Not a surprise really. They've got a decent manager, but again, I don't know, the recruitment could be questionable. It's a tough league. It's a tough thing to step up. Same with Burnley. They had a couple of good wins. To be honest, though, they're 11 games in. They're out of the relegation target, relegation zone. I think they'll do all right. I do worry about whoever comes in to take the Wolves job. Let's look at the bottom of the table now. The Wolves job looks like an impossible job, doesn't it? 11 games in, no wins, 9 losses and 2 draws. That is abysmal form, really, isn't it? And their form just is in line with that. 4 losses and 2 draws in the last 6. Can't buy a win. And they did get a couple of wins, some cup results, and then a couple of draws, and you thought, are they turning a corner? But inevitably, I've not been able to do that, and therefore still look really booted to the bottom. And at this stage of the season, being 2 points after 11, it don't look good for them. But who knows? They're only 8 points. That's 3 wins. Would give them a good cushion. So let's see what happens. with Wolves. Same with Forest and West Ham. Now, Forest and West Ham, for me, you probably could say they're too good to go down. They're both showing form. A draw and a win for Forest since Dyche has come in. 2 wins for West Ham on the bounce since Nuno's come in. You've got to say the form is starting to turn and the wins are starting to turn for those teams. I reckon by Christmas it'll be interesting to see where they are. My suspicion will be that they're both out of those relegation spots, and perhaps Leeds, Burnley or Fulham, any of those 3 will probably drop in. Can't see Liverpool, can't see Everton. Potentially Brentford, but I think they're too many points clear now to get dragged into to the bottom 3 by then. I think there's worse teams below them. So that's where I think it is. Anything between 15th to 20th. I think they're all in that 16 relegation scrap this season. And I expect everybody above them to be pretty alright. But, I might eat my words saying that, but I suspect if you'd have said that was the bottom 6, bar Forest, I'd have probably expected Brentford to be in there, bar Forest. And I expected Bournemouth and Brighton maybe to struggle this season, with Bournemouth losing so many players, but they just seem to... Areola seems to do... Irola, isn't it? Areola's a keeper for West Ham. Irola seems to be doing a good job there and seems to always grind out results, so I think they'll be fine. So again, Forest and West Ham are down there. So they are in a relegation scrap technically, but I actually think they'll pull form together now with right managers, and Dyche seems to be the right blend for what Forest need. Now he's started to get some positive results, and positivity breeds positivity. Once you start getting that momentum and those results behind you, confidence gathers, team starts to get behind the manager, and I can see them going from strength to strength now, same as we're seeing West Ham do. I don't think it's going to be easy for West Ham. I think they're in a rotational squad, aren't they? They've got a lot of aging players that have left the club and new players coming in. It's going to take time, and they need to continue to cycle those older players out and new players coming in. I also know there's a lot of protests going on at West Ham at the moment over the way the club's run. So West Ham fans, what's going on? Is Sullivan and Brady going to go out? And are you looking for new chairman and buyers at the club? Kind of interesting. They have invested a lot of money. You've got your new stadium, but obviously the recruitment clearly hasn't made the fans happy. And Potter wasn't, I don't think, an appointment that the fans got excited about. I think Nuno is an appointment. He's a good appointment. He's a proven winner at Premier League level. And I think, given the funds, I think you'll be fine with him, and I think he'll take you from strength to strength. Thought it was a mistake to get rid of Moyes, but could have been the right time to change. But we're seeing what he's doing at Everton. He's doing very, very well. Okay, so that's the Premier League up and down. We've reviewed that. What do you think? What's your take on the Premiership? Where do you think it'll go? How do you think we'll do? Are Arsenal going to win it this year? Who's going to go down? Who's going to make Europe? Let me know in the comments. Just smash some comments in there and let me know what you think. Love to hear your thoughts or your challenge. Do you agree with my analysis? Do you agree with the top 5 starting to take shape? I think we'll see a few ebbs and flows there, but I think Man City and Arsenal look locked in for those top 2 positions. I think Tottenham, Man U, Villa, Liverpool, Chelsea are probably going to be battling it out for that top 5. I can't see Sunderland being there at the end of the season. I hope I'm wrong, because it's a fantastic story to see an underdog who everyone thought would be going down all the way back up there. I think Sunderland will be fine. I think they'll get a top 10 finish if they continue with the form they're showing. But again, you look at that, they're only 3 points off 11th. 12th. So there is definitely, it's a bit of a rollercoaster. You only need a couple of bad results in the Prem at the moment, and you will drop like a lead weight. But let's see. Let me know your thoughts. As always, really, really interested. Okay, let's quickly canter through where we are with the Championship. I know we have to, unfortunately. I'm gutted about talking about this. But anyway, let's get on there and do it. So, Watford had a great result against Middlesbrough, and again, this continues to discontent around Edwards and the job he's doing. The mixed job started really well, but they have tapered off. But that's Watford. They have recruited their manager, Javi Garcia, who's returned back to the club and giving them a fantastic result against Middlesbrough with 3-0. And Stoke got an emphatic 5-1 win against Bristol City, which was a great result for them. Preston North End beat Southampton 2-0, which inevitably led to Will Still's departure from Southampton. They're now looking for a new manager. Who's it going to be? Let's find out. Don't know any names in the frame, Southampton fans. Let me know. Is there anybody you would like to see take over your club? Big club, lots of potential, great squad, should be up there. It's not. Let's see who they get in and what's happened. Simmer, big squad, not doing so well. That's Sheffield United. I went to that game against Derby. It was probably one of the worst performances that I've seen all season. Just when you think you're turning a corner, Sheffield United do really poorly. And it's the third game running. We conceded straight after half time. Really, really disappointing. Enough said. Ipswich got a great result away at QPR, winning 4-1. Oxford played out with 2-2 draw with Millwall. Charlton drew with Swansea. Birmingham hammered Portsmouth 4-0. West Brom, good result for Sheffield Wednesday. They played out a narrow 0-0 draw against West Brom. Hull City beat Norwich and condemned them. Again, Norwich, another team in trouble, and they've also parted ways with their manager. That's all the bottom three, with the exception of Sheffield Wednesday. Or rotating teams in trouble, who've all parted ways with their manager, including Sheffield United, who obviously let Ruben Sayers go and brought back Chris Wilder to the club. Leicester lost 2-0 to Blackburn, a much needed win for Blackburn, and a maligned Leicester continue to struggle, don't they, at this year? Sheffield United played in midweek, so these are the midweek fixtures. They lost 3-1 to Coventry. They were 1-0 up and played very well in that first half. Cooper went off at half time. Davies come into the net. That's Adam Davies, not Tom Davies. Adam Davies come into the net, had a howler for the second, should have cleared everybody out of the box and taken the defenders and everybody, flapped at the ball, and it came off the defender's shoulder, I think, and into the net off part. Hartley bounced off his face and went into net. It was a calamitous goal. And you know, Sheffield United chased the game, and then Coventry came back into it, and you know, on the counter attack while Sheffield United were going with it, put the knife in with a 3-1 victory to them. It wasn't a surprise. Everyone expected Coventry to win. You look at their form, but I think you've got to look at United's performance in that first half and say it was a match thrown away through a catalogue of mistakes that shouldn't have been made. Again, it's okay getting beaten by moments of quality, but when you're getting beaten by mistakes and poor marking or bad goalkeeping, that's very tough to take as a United fan. Stoke City beat Oxford 3-0, continues their good form as well. They're mixed though, aren't they? Leicester and Middlesbrough do 1-1. Watford continue their good form. They drew 1-1 at Ipswich. Derby County continue their great form. They beat Hull 2-1. Charlton beat West Brom 1-0. Blackburn continue their recovery with a 1-0 victory against Bristol. And Birmingham, again, another fantastic 4-0 victory against Bill. Is that 2 4-0 Bills on the bounce? Wow, that's 8 goals in the last 2 games. A real recovery from them, isn't it? On Wednesday, then, we saw Portsmouth play out a 0-0 draw with Wrexham. Sheffield Wednesday play out a 1-1 draw with Norwich. QPR lost to Southampton 2-1. Preston North End continue their good form by beating Swansea 2-1. The Friday night game yielded a draw between Watford and Bristol City. Again, Watford on good form. They've not lost then in the last 3 that we've just reported on, have they? Moving on to Saturday's game, Wrexham got a fantastic result against Charlton. Continue their resurgence, really. I think they're unbeaten in a few games and starting to pull some results together. West Brom beat Oxford. Again, another 4-1 victory for Ipswich against Swansea. Coventry beats Stoke City 1-0. Southampton continue their recovery, really, and they beat Sheffield Wednesday 3-1. Sheffield United played out a 0-0 draw, and I think if both teams had played for another 90 minutes, it would have been 0-0. Sheffield United really dominated the game. There were a few spells from QPR, but it was largely Sheffield United. And how United didn't score, there were 2 fantastic saves made the QPR keeper, but United really looked impotent, I think is lack of a better word, in front of goal. They really need to sort out that, because it can't continue. If the goals have got to come in Sheffield United. Great to see keep a clean sheet, and after the first 10 minutes not to concede. It set a good precedent for moving. We've got a solid foundation now. Build on that over the international break and see what happens. Leicester got a good result against Norwich. Again, Norwich really, really struggling as well. They're not doing too well. And they need to up the form. Again, Sheffield United and Norwich, very surprisingly, down there. Middlesbrough turned around some poor performances of late, and Bristol City, on an 8-goal in 2-game run, was put to end through Middlesbrough by winning 2-1. Preston and Millwall played out 1-1 draw. Hull got a good result and continued their good form against Portsmouth. Blackburn, who have been on great form, got beaten by a very, very informed Derby. They seem to have turned the corner, don't they, under Eustace? He really has got them playing well. Carlton Morris is banging goals in for fun, and they really seem to be motoring now, and I think we'll see their trajectory up the league. They've recruited very, very well and got some great players. Okay, where does that leave us in the table? Let's just do a very, very quick refresh of that league. So 15 games through, similar sort of slot for the league. And look at that, Coventry, the outliers, 5-point cushion now, a massive goal difference in comparison to anybody else in the league. It dwarfs the nearly 3 times ahead of anybody coming close to them. To at least double and some 2.5 above everybody else in terms of goal difference, and just really look like they're going to run away with the league, don't they? I know it's early stages, and I know that's a really bold claim to make, but 15 games through, you can start to gain a good judgment of them. And 34 points after 15 games, only one game lost, is really creditable form. Frank Lampard has done a fantastic job at Coventry, and they really are playing well at the moment. Middlesbrough, again, if you look at the form though, it's not that bad, is it? Like, out of 6, they've only lost 1, drawn 2, won 3. That's good form. So 29 points, doing very well. Stoke back up there as well. And look at Hull City, transfer embargo. What transfer embargo? 25 points still, doing very well. And Millwall, no surprise, always seem to be up there. Don't they? A very good team. They always, very good championship team. Always in the mix, always up there, and continue to be up there again this season. But again, we're starting to get a bit of a cushion, aren't we? And teams are starting to pull away a little bit. You've got quite a strut on 21 and 23 points, so that anything up to 7th from 15th is quite an open angle there. Anybody just puts a run together and you can start to charge up for that top 6 position. But really, those top 3 look to be starting to pull away, which is a bit like what happened last season. If you remember, Sheffield United, Burnley and Leeds, it was really a mini league between those 3, between 1st and 3rd. Unfortunately, Sheffield United finished 3rd and ultimately failed in their pursuit, beaten by Sunderland in that playoff final. So interesting. Coventry were there and Middlesbrough were there last season again, though. So it just shows you those teams that were there and thereabouts who didn't have a playoff final horror actually seem to be up there. But again, Bristol City were right up there, weren't they? And they've dropped down to 8th now. But then they were another team that were up there in the playoffs. So let's canter down. I guess the form team to really focus on, as I said before, is Derby. They really are on form. 5 wins out of the last 6 games. They really have turned a corner since that defeat and really are putting some form together. And definitely for me, are definitely outliers. You know, they've got a good goal difference now. They're positive, whereas Millwall are still -3 and they're 2. So there's a chance that Derby could get up there. Again, the 2 4-0 victories on the bounce for Birmingham have given them a really positive goal difference, and you've got to factor that in, particularly in the Championship. I know that too well. That if you're not scoring goals and your goal difference is poor, that really comes back to bite you in the backside come the latter part of the season. Wrexham putting a bit of form together, as you can see, not beaten, unbeaten in the last 5. Look to be playing well. West Brom's a bit up and down. Watford seems to be putting a little bit of form together. 1 win and 2 draws, but that's still good when they're on a difficult run. QPR looked a poor team, I've got to say. When we played them Saturday, they didn't look good at all. I'm surprised. I think the league position definitely is very healthy for them. Let's just say that, based on the way they played. I know you can't judge a team on one game, but they didn't look great, didn't look threatening at all, compared to some of the teams I've seen at Lane. Southampton have pulled 2 wins together. Could that be them seeing some form? Swansea have lost the last 2. Blackburn were playing well, got 3 wins on the bounce since their defeat to Sheffield United, but lost again at the weekend. Portsmouth seem to be struggling there. They're a team that doesn't look to be in great form at the moment, are they? Again, Oxford starting to come down, and we expected Oxford, maybe Portsmouth, to be struggling this season, and that's playing out. Sheffield Wednesday, we knew were going to struggle because of all the issues off the field. They're -4 thanks to their 12-point deduction at the start of the season. But to say they got 12 points deducted, they're on -4, so that's not too bad. They've started to recoup that and recover that pretty well. But for them to get that and then 17 points off the play is just impossible, isn't it? So Sheffield Wednesday look condemned to finish bottom in the table, or at least getting relegated this season. So I think they should give up. Norwich look like they're struggling. I think Wednesday, it's just not embarrassing yourself, isn't it? To be honest, I don't mean that in a facetious way or a condescending way. It's just reality. When you've got a 12-point deduction, there's nothing you can do about it. Players have just got to give their all and not embarrass the fans, and give the fans at least something to cheer. Apart from when we play them next Sunday. Hopefully they're not. So Norwich City, again, on a really, really bad run. I thought we were on a bad run, but Norwich are on 3-4, aren't they? Managed to get a draw, but all really probably the worst formed team, bar QPR at the moment in the league, and Sheffield Wednesday. They really are playing poorly. But Sheffield United again have had a real bad run of form recently, and our goal difference is absolutely atrocious, -15. It's just an embarrassment, really. When you look at the quality of players that we signed, to be -15 is just simply not good enough. We got 2 wins against Blackburn, and it looked like we looked like we were going to turn a corner. I really thought we were going to turn a corner. But we haven't, and we are struggling. So need to do something about it. Beat Watford, beat Blackburn, and then lose to Preston, Coventry, and who was Charlton. Just not good enough. Not good enough. And then a draw against QPR. We should have really won that game. A lot of people saying good performance. It felt like 3 points dropped in that game. Just simply not good enough. Okay, I've gone up and down leagues, Premiership and Championship. As I say, I was going to deep dive into those two. That's me done. We'll come back on Friday and preview the League 1 and 2. We'll come back next Monday. I'm going to focus on crypto this week for my updates and do quite a few. And then we'll come back on Monday, assess how the League 1 and 2 fixtures have gone over the last 3 weeks. Quickly canter through those, look at the tables, look at who's doing well, who's doing poorly, and give you some in-depth analysis. Let me know how you like this, me splitting it up and just focusing on certain leagues and really deep diving into the league table, looking at form, looking at how people are playing, talking about managers, talking about players, who's playing well, who's not playing well. Do you like this format? Do you prefer me spending more time to focus on individual leagues? And maybe, I don't want to do a video per league, but starting to put some timestamps in, so if you're interested in the Premier League, League 1, Championship or League 2, then you can click on that timestamp and start to look at the deep dives for those leagues as we go into it. So do you like the split way of doing this? Especially with an international break, it makes sense, doesn't it? Let's deep dive, take stock where we are at that international break, and then we'll move down different leagues as we progress through the week. I'm not going to cover international football. I really just can't be arsed. I don't think it represents value. Until we get to the World Cup, obviously, then I'll be all about it, which says a lot about me, I guess, as a fan. I don't care. Let's focus on what matters, and that's our domestic football and our teams, because that's why we watch football, isn't it, really? For that domestic pleasure. Alright guys, look, it's been a great video. I've really enjoyed filming this for you. Smash some likes, give us some love please. It helps invigorate me to continue to do those videos. So thanks for all the support to date, for everyone who's been liking and subscribing. Please do me a favour and share these videos. Please like and comment. It really does help with the old algorithm thing. And I'll be back next week with some more football updates. Have a great rest of your week. If your team's playing this weekend, hope they win for you. And take care of yourself. All the best.